of '81, he saw a newspaper ad for a guitar player. It had been placed by a band called Metallica.
There was an ad in there for lead guitarist wanted, and they had said they were looking for someone influenced by Iron Maiden and Motorhead. So I go to audition for this band, and I took my amps and everything, and I plugged in, and I'm warming up.
He had this shrieking lead sound that would cut through any soundproofing. Everything just was exploding out of everywhere of him.
I said, well, are we going to audition? And they said, no, you got the job.
I had never heard like such a twin rhythm guitar kind of deal going on. Their music just had more speed or something to it, and it blew me away.
Dave Mustaine was crucial to the history of Metallica because he had this fiery attitude, very much like the attitude of the hardcore punks in Los Angeles at the time. And also he was an incredible musician. Some of the musicians in Slayer, I was talking to them the other day, and they told me that they used to go to these early Metallica shows to watch Dave Mustaine play his lead guitar. He used to be able to play these solos without actually looking at the instrument, which really impressed them.
It was pretty much off the hook. I remember watching this band, and it was like, it was pretty amazing, actually. It was pretty raw, but it was a trip because you had Dave Mustaine and James, and like they both kind of like were frontmen. Like one, like for one song, James would announce that song or whatever, and then for another song, Dave would, talk.
On stage, Dangerous Dave was part of Metallica's instant attraction.
Dave was outspoken, did a lot of talking into the microphone. He was playing the role of bad boy. And he played it well. I mean, he was a pretty scary guy.
It seemed to me like I was the leader of the band because I had big balls and I wasn't going to take shit from anybody.
But what they brought to the table together for Metallica was really unique because there's a lot of riffs that Dave had brought to Metallica that they used even later on after he left.
Dave did everything 110. He was on 10 all the time, Whatever Dave wanted, Dave got, basically, So when he left the band, they lost a little something.
That a lot of Mustaine's vocal phrasing Hetfield took on when he became the lead singer in the band. And Mustaine has always been very vocal about the fact that Hetfield was influenced heavily by what he did.
It's really the best songwriter out of Metallica, and to some degree still do. I think some of his stuff was quite obviously the classic stuff, the stuff that was memorable and the stuff that stayed. I think the shame of it all is that there just became too much bickering and it took us away from the focus on how talented the guy was.
Because of that kind of constant tension and wanting to prove something, Dave Mustaine ended up making music that was much more intricate than what Metallica was doing.
The rhythms he would write were mind-blowing. The rhythms were just kind of almost impressive as anyone's lead playing. That was the fastest shit going on at that time. That was before Slayer was going Mach 10. I mean, I'm sure the old amphetamines helped a little bit, but still, they were flying, bro.
So many of the bands at the time were really, they were starting out, but they were young kids and they were just learning and they were, doing good things. But Megadeth was really excellent musicians, and Dave went out of his way to find really good musicians to play with him.
They were always the band that you would look up to because they were such great musicians, It was always like, oh, Megadeth, man, oh, check this out.
Twists and turns on those first two records, so and that just comes from Mustaine's kind of sideways brand of guitar playing, and that's what's always made him so original.
Back in the time, it was very influential to a lot of people playing guitar and trying to rip fast like that,
Megadeth changed my life, man. When I heard like Metallica was great and I was all about it, but as soon as I heard Peace Sells But Who's Buying, it was just over. I mean, that was like everything metal should be. It had the power, it had the speed, it had the riffs, it had the drums, it had the political lyrics. It was perfect. It really, like, it made me want to play metal. It still does.
Peace Sells.
That's a masterpiece.
Yep.
Front to back, it's just a great record.
For me, he really did set the scene for this thrash metal, and with his later albums was able to expand, you know, his popularity.
There's a new way. I'll be the first in line, but it better work this time.
The sad thing, and this is really strange, when Kerry was playing with Megadeth, I showed him a lot of my style. Kerry's a good guitar player. For rhythm, he's great. In Metallica, I was the only guitar player, and a lot of that rubbed off on James. And in Megadeth, it was all my guitar playing and hired hands that learned what I was doing. So out of all of this, I mean, this is totally going to sound arrogant, and I'm sorry, but I'm just telling you the facts. I've affected 3 bands out of the big 5.
You have to give him credit, whether he played on Kill 'Em All or not. Dave started it. And then he went and did Megadeth, which is, you know, one of the greatest metal bands, you know, ever to strap on a guitar.
It would be fun to be able to look at what I did from above and see all of the people that I've affected. But, you know, I also know that these guys were all established now. They've developed their own style since then, and they're very successful.
All the music he wrote on Kill 'Em all those great Metallica songs, you know, without Mustaine, there is no Metallica. Without Mustaine, there maybe is no thrash metal at all.